Hello, welcome back to Made by Manda Mal. I'm Manda and I make stuff. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a crochet artist. I mostly make amigurumi plushie type items that I sell at market events and online. And you guys, I have so many exciting things to talk about in this video. In this video, I will be sharing all of my Etsy tips and tricks and things that I have learned as a handmade seller on Etsy. I have been selling plushies on Etsy for almost 3 years now, actually, which is crazy. It is not my main source of selling my plushies. I mostly sell at market events. However, I do use Etsy as well, and I would say I make a pretty steady couple $100 a month on Etsy, which is really amazing additional income for my handmade business. But that being said, I am going to share all of my favorite tips with you that I think have personally led to the success and the steady traffic on my Etsy. I am just going to jump in and get started. I get a lot of questions on if I think Etsy is even worth it. It is no secret. There are definitely a lot of fees involved with selling on Etsy. I'm pretty sure when I signed up for Etsy a couple years ago, I didn't have to pay a fee to open my shop, but I think now they even charge a fee to open your shop. You have to pay per listing. I mean, there's a lot of fees involved with online selling on this platform. That being said, do I think that it is overall worth it to be selling on Etsy? If you are looking to sell online, I would say yes, it is worth it, especially if you're newer to selling and you don't have an already established customer base. The fact of the matter is Etsy is going to be bringing a lot of traffic that you are not bringing yourself. Okay, my first, I guess, tip that I want to mention is you need to be realistic about selling on Etsy. I know that it seems glamorous and there's a bunch of YouTube videos out there telling you how you can make a ton of money overnight on Etsy, and I just don't really think that that is incredibly realistic. It has taken me a while to build steady traffic on my Etsy. I'm sure that there are people that have had a different experience, but that's been my experience. It's been a lot of hard work, and I don't really think there's any like cheat code that you're gonna find that's gonna make you incredibly successful overnight. So I would just keep that in mind. If your shop is slow to start, just keep at it. I'm telling you, if you keep at it and you follow some of these tips, you can definitely be successful on this platform. It is a very saturated platform. There are a ton of sellers on Etsy now. You really need to work hard, make yourself stand out. Okay, one of my biggest tips is you need to be driving traffic to your Etsy. I know that you probably don't want to hear that because yeah, you're on Etsy and they're going to be driving traffic and people can search your things. It's not that easy. You need to put the work in also. Doing that can also really help your profit being on Etsy. You can use your save and share links, which are links that Etsy provides to you, and you can share them on your social media so that people can click on those links. And if they purchase something from your links, you are saving 4% in your Etsy fees on that order. So drive that traffic. Post your Etsy information everywhere. Post it on all your social media pages, post it on Pinterest, post it on Facebook. I think that a key to my success was when I was first starting, I was just sharing that Etsy information everywhere. And even though I had friends and family that lived down the street, they wanted to support me and I didn't even have to ask, they saw me posting on Facebook, and at the time I was selling some cheaper things on my Etsy. I had some like cheap crochet earrings on there and people wanted to spend $15 to support me. And those were my first couple of sales on Etsy, and guess what? When they got their items, they were leaving me reviews on my Etsy as well, and that is really what establishes your shop. You need sales and you need reviews. I mean, think about as a buyer on Etsy. I don't typically buy things if they don't have reviews and if a shop doesn't have a lot of sales. It's just the truth. I wanted to show you guys some of my Etsy stats. Etsy stats are so important. We will be going over a lot of those in this video, but I think that this is really important information. These are how all of my customers on Etsy and my shoppers, how they found me. And you can see that Etsy brought in 54% of the visits, but I still brought in 46% of the visits. So it was kind of split half and half almost. Also, another tip is getting started when you're making your first couple sales. Don't be afraid to send a message to people who purchased your items and ask them for a little review if they don't review already. Honestly, in my personal experience, I started off asking people for reviews, but then I found that people were just leaving reviews without me asking. Honestly, the majority of the time, my customers are leaving reviews, and I think it's just because they're happy with the customer service and happy with my items, and I think that sometimes that kind of speaks for itself. Another tip that we need to discuss is your shipping and processing time for your items. This is a setting that you have the option to adjust in your shop settings. You can set a day, 1, 2 days, 3, 5 days, 5, 7 days. When I started my shop, I think it was set to 3 to 5 days in processing time. I do make all of my items to order, so I don't really have backup inventory here. When someone orders the item, I then make it. And I'm not gonna lie, I was very stressed out with the 3 to 5 day processing time. If I was away for the weekend and I had a big order come in or a bunch of orders, I would just get so stressed out and panicked. I mean, it takes a long time to hand crochet items, and I found that that just was not enough time for me to prep my orders, and it was honestly making me hate selling on Etsy. So to make things a little easier on myself, I did change my shipping time to 5 to 7 days, which has alleviated a lot of my stress. But I will say, I think it has negatively impacted my sales a little bit. People are generally drawn to items that have a quick processing time. A lot of people are ordering these things as gifts and looking at things last minute, and they want the quickest processing time. I always try to think of things in terms of, what if one day something blew up on social media? What if one of my items blew up and all of a sudden I got 20 orders of one of these items overnight, you know? Will I be able to crochet 20 of those in 3 days? Probably not. So just keep all of that in mind when you are setting up your processing time. Also, if you're struggling with time to hand make all of your items, but you really want to add some extra income to your shop, I would definitely recommend expanding your products and consider some print-on-demand products. If you go on the Printful website, you can see so many different kind of items that you can add your own designs to. You don't have to be a crazy kind of graphic designer to add these designs. I use Canva graphics to whip up some stuff, and then you can upload your design to any of these items, and Printful connects to your Etsy shop. So once you upload your design, you can publish right from Printful to your Etsy, and your listing will already be on your Etsy waiting for you. And when your customers order this item, it ships directly to them. You don't have to do anything. People make serious money with print on demand on Etsy because it's such a quick process. I think it's a great way to really capitalize on holidays and trends and events. You can add some of these items to your shop and see how it goes. I have really expanded my brand with some crochet merch. Unlike hand making items, you don't really have to worry about your inventory. I will be honest, shipping is one of my least favorite parts of selling online. I feel like the shipping process just adds a lot of additional time. So I absolutely love that Printful takes care of that for me. And if you're looking for quick sales, I think this could be the perfect way to get them. They have great quality products and really competitive pricing that helps you keep the most of your profit. And did you know that some of the biggest brands in the world are using Printful? Coca-Cola, Spotify. I mean, think about how much money they're making, guys. So Printful is free to use. There's no fees involved, and I have a link in the description below if you would like to check it out. My next tip that is huge is you need to be having good listings on your Etsy. This means good photos, good videos, really detailed descriptions, really detailed titles of your listings. This is so important, and keep in mind that you are paying per listing. You don't want to just throw up junky listings. I would say quality over quantity. Instead of having 100, average listings that you're not putting a ton of work in, put a ton of work into, 20, 30 really good listings that you're confident in. How to make a listing good. Guys, Etsy wants you to have successful listings. They do, because if you have successful listings and people are buying your stuff, that is making more money for Etsy. So they are really trying to make sure that you have a successful listing. My number one suggestion for that is go into your Etsy shop manager, go into the Etsy search visibility, and check all of your listings. Etsy is telling you where you're having low search visibility, and they are going to help you fix that. So make sure you are checking this. See, some of my listings can use a refresh. to unlock their full potential. So let's check it out. They're gonna tell me what I need to do. They're saying update some of my titles. Okay, let's review the ones that they're suggesting. They're giving me suggested titles that could make my listings better. Another thing that I want to mention about listing titles is the new thing now is Etsy's really focused on long tail keyword phrases. If you guys have heard that mentioned, that just means instead of one or two quick little words for your item title, do not be afraid to add a lot of keywords and have a long title. And in 1 second, I'm going to show you how you can find some of those long tail keyword phrases that people are using that might be helping your listing to pop up in the search results. Give me 1 second. Let's finish going over this. They're telling me that 2 of my listings only have 1 photo. That is really bad. When you go into your listing, you have 10 available slots to add photos. I would recommend using all 10 slots. This is your only opportunity to get buyers to buy your item. You want to give them the most opportunity to fall in love with your product. So I would recommend filling up as many spots as you can and add videos. On my listings, I try to add a video literally just showing the item, showing the full 360 of the item. And I feel like that makes a difference. Let's see what else is in our listing visibility. Higher resolution photos. You want to have the highest resolution photos. You want to make sure they are in the best lighting. If you need to take them outside, take them outside. Now I want to go back and show you guys how you can find some of those long tail keyword phrases that I was talking about. So in your stats section of your shop manager, you can go in here, and when you scroll down, you can find some of your listings. So for example, I'm just going to pull up my tax tracking template because I think this would have some good keywords. You can scroll all the way down to the bottom of that specific listing, and you can find these search terms. And these are the terms that people used to find this item. So I would look at these search terms and I would consider adding these to my title description because this is what people are searching for. That is just a really helpful tool that I suggest checking out on honestly all of your listings. In your item descriptions, I would definitely recommend adding as much detail and as many keywords as possible. Specifically, I like to mention the dimensions of my item, how big it is. I have only had 1 review on Etsy that was below 5 stars, and it was somebody deducting a star because they were surprised by the size of the item. They did not understand what the sizing of the item would be, even though I do try to take pictures of all of my items in my hand so you can kind of see the size reference in my hand. I also like to mention the fact that most of my items are made with plastic safety eyes, which can be considered a choking hazard. And I add a little blurb about how I can embroider eyes as opposed to adding the safety eyes. If they would prefer that for no additional cost, just shoot me a message. Okay, let's talk about Etsy ads and if I think that they are worth it or necessary to have a successful Etsy. You are able to go into the ad section of Etsy and set a threshold of money every day that you're willing to spend on Etsy ads. You could spend $1 a day or obviously way more than that. I have ran Etsy ads here and there in the past. I did run some when I started my Etsy, and I'm gonna be so honest with you, I don't find them necessary. I personally don't really run ads anymore. I would say I have had more success with sales on Etsy. They also have an entire sales and discounts section in the marketing area of your shop manager, and they give you suggested offers. You could have abandoned cart offers where they're going to send out an email to customers that have your items in their cart and they'll offer a discount if they move forward with the purchase. I really try to take advantage of all of these sales. Customers love free shipping. If that's something that you're willing to offer, take advantage of holiday sales. You can set up any kind of sales you want. Another tip is I think it is cool to have customizations when people can select different colors of items. However, I would just be cautious of having too many options. I think that sometimes having too many options can kind of backfire and it might overwhelm the customer. So you can have color options, but maybe just have a couple color options. I used to have every single color yarn that I would have every single color listed as an option, and sometimes I was like running out of specific colors and it was like really hard to keep up with. So now I just have a couple colors as opposed to every single color yarn that I had in my inventory, and I feel that that's worked out a lot better for me. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about is how to make sure that your views are converting into sales and how you can see that information, because we want good conversion rates, meaning the people that are looking at our listings are not only looking, they're looking and then buying. This is really important information because this could help diagnose if your issue is getting views or if your issue is people are viewing it but for some reason they're not buying it, which is a totally different problem. So I like to go into this stats section again of our shop manager and scroll all the way down to my listings. And over here, you can see your views versus your orders. So to get your conversion rate on a specific item, you are going to do orders divided by views times 100. So for this chicken nugget listing, let's see, we had 159 orders divided by 387, 3 views, and we're gonna times that by 100, and that gives us a 4.1% conversion rate. It might seem low, but that is actually a pretty decent conversion rate. I think Etsy says that a good conversion rate for handmade sellers is in the 3 to 5% range. 5 is like really good. And 1 to 2% is expected for newer shops and shops that have a lot of saturated competition. So don't be discouraged if you do have a lower conversion rate, but if the conversion rate is really low and you're seeing that you do have a lot of views on that specific item, that means you are getting the traffic, you're doing good with that, but for some reason people aren't moving forward with the purchase. So whether that's pricing that needs to be adjusted, maybe they need to see more about how the item could be used, something is making them not move forward with the purchase. So I would definitely recommend checking out that information because it could be some really helpful info for your Etsy shop. I feel like that was a lot of information, and I honestly still feel like I have more info that I could share with you guys. I would actually love to do an Etsy follow-up video in the future, maybe with some more information. Also, I was thinking maybe a Q&A. If you guys have any Etsy specific questions, let me know in the comments, and hopefully we could set up an Etsy follow-up video in the near future. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss it. And also let me know what your Etsy thoughts are in the comments below. I feel like some people are very passionate about Etsy, whereas some people just are done with it. So I'm really curious to know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching if you did. I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you guys in the next one.